Today I am here with the next chapter of the book Beehive of class 9, and the chapter is My Childhood, and this is written by APJ Abdul Kalam. APJ Abdul Kalam. We all know him as the Missile Man of India. Oh, what contribution he has given in the fields of defense, space. We can never forget his contribution in nuclear technology. And of course, he was the 11th president of our country, and he was elected in 2002. This man and his contribution can never be compared with anyone. Commendable. And today we are here reading about his childhood written by himself in his autobiography, Wings of Fire. Please read it. Please read his autobiography, Wings of Fire. You will come to know what all he had studied, accomplished, and yes, his contributions, the nuclear tests, the Pokhran episode, so many things. His contribution, he was there with ISRO in DRDO. We can, list is endless. And before his death, he worked on the environment, and he has taught us so much. Today we are going to just read an excerpt that is there in the book Beehive, and we'll come to know a little about his childhood and also a little about his friends, his family. So let us peep into his world, his childhood. So he tells us about his parents. He belonged to a Tamil family, and they lived in Rameswaram, which was later named as Madras. And this Rameswaram was an island place, and a small, island like a place, and he used to stay there in the mosque street, and they all lived in their ancestral house. It was a Pakka house, ancestral house that belonged to the father's father, and then the great-grandfather. So that was an ancestral house, and it was in Mosque Street, and it was a Pakka house that was made with limestone and all cement and everything, bricks and everything. So his father, Jainul-Abdin, I have named few people so that we do not get confused and you also enjoy. Jainul-Abdin was a man who believed in honesty and self-discipline, and this was inherited. These qualities, these values were inherited by Abdul from his father. And his mother was Ashiama, and she believed in faith in goodness. If you are good, keep faith, everything, the good will come back to you. And deep kindness. She always believed that one should be very kind with everyone around. And they both were such a pair that even Jainul-Abdin, used to say that he has found a soulmate in his wife, because whatever, he wanted, she did for him. She was a true companion. And his father's work was to take pilgrims from one place to another. All the Hindu pilgrims also, and he mentions, Abdul mentions that there was this function of the Hindus of Sita Rama Kalyanam, That was that during this, they used to, the idols of Ram and Sita were taken to a place that was known as Ram Tirtha. It was, in that there was a pond in that island, and the pond was, surrounded by water on all sides, and all the pilgrims used to go there. They used to take the idols. So, Jainuddin, Abdul Kalam's father, used to take these idols in his boat, a platform, he used to get a platform made in the boat, and all the idols were from the temple, they were taken to the marriage site, and there Ram and Sita were, they used to marry those idols. Ram and Sita's idols were married. So this is a very auspicious festival of the Tamilians, and Abdul's father used to contribute a lot, although they belonged to a Muslim family, but they were so socially, they were all they were very tolerant towards all the other there was no religious discrimination, and all the ranks of the society and all lived together in that place. Rameswaram was known for that. All the Hindus, even if they were Orthodox Hindus, the Brahmin families, they also did not have any problems with the Muslims or with people of the low caste. Alright, and his father used to take the pilgrims also during these festivals. His father used to take the pilgrims along in his boat, and even the idols. So this shows that so tolerant he was towards the other religions also, and all the people. And then Abdul Kalam tells about his father that they were not, the parents were not very educated or very wealthy, but they were a handsome couple. They believed in honesty, self-discipline and goodness and kindness. And he says that his mother used to cook food for so many people. They were so kind, they were so good that he says that he remembers that during his childhood there were more people. See, he was a brother of the three brothers and sisters, and he says the people that were there in the family, they used to have food, but there were more outsiders who were every day coming and eating at their house, and mother and father used to feed them very, very nicely. Abdul Kalam's mother used to cook food for all, and with great respect and love she used to feed the outsiders also. So this was also inherited, this value was also inherited by Abdul Kalam from his parents. And then he goes on to say that although he tells about his parents that they both were very good looking and handsome parents, but he was a short boy, and he did not have any distinguished looks or anything. He was a very common face, and he says that he was not good looking, and he goes on to say that although his family was not very wealthy, and father did not believe in providing comforts and luxuries and all, but the parents always thought that all the necessities regarding medicine, food, shelter, all the other things, the books, everything, he was providing all the necessities, and he took care that all the necessities, the things that are important, are provided to the family. And so Abdul Kalam goes on to say that his childhood was a very secure one. Secure in terms of materially also and emotionally also. Great love and values he had got from his family, and materially means that whatever was necessary, he was getting everything very nicely. What I feel, that providing necessities to your family is more important. Luxuries can be achieved anytime, isn't it? So that was being given to Abdul during his childhood. Then Abdul goes on to say that the Second World War started in 1939, and he remembers that during those days, there was a great demand for tamarind seeds. And this demand came in the southern countries of our country, because tamarind trees, just the way coconut trees are found in South India, even tamarind trees are also found, and those tamarind trees, the seeds of tamarind were in great demand because these tamarind seeds were used for producing a particular type of fuel that was used in trucks, and maybe they also used during the war. So during war, Second World War, there was a demand for tamarind seeds. So what Abdul was just 8 years old when he came to know that these seeds were required. So what he used to do, one day he went, he filled a sack full of tamarind seeds. He collected tamarind, he must have peeled them off and took out the seeds, collected all the seeds and took the provision store and was paid for that. 6 annas was paid, and he remembers, and he was so happy that he was able to help his parents with that little amount of money. And then he goes on to say about his brother-in-law was Jalaluddin. So he says that Jalaluddin always used to tell him about war and whatever that was coming in the news and in the radio, whatever was going on, all the situations were told to him by Jalaluddin. And to confirm, Abdul Kalam used to read the newspaper that used to come the next day. That was the Dinamani, and he used to read all the newspaper and find the same details there. So he used to read the newspaper at a very young age, and Jalaluddin was there. He used to tell everything about the war. Then he goes on to say that after a few months and after some time, India was told to become an ally, to be a part of the Allied forces. So the Allied forces were of UK, USA and Russia. So India had to support at that time. And so whenever you are supporting someone during war, there are surely to the country is supposed to surely to face a few casualties and problems. So he remembers that the first casualty that came, that the change that came during that time was the stopping of the train in Rameswaram. When life is normal, the trains they stop at small stations also. But when there is a problem or a war type of a situation going on in the world, so then trains rush past these small stations. They do not stop at the small stations. But the newspapers used to come. So what the train people used to do, they used to throw the bundles of newspapers on the Rameswaram road while crossing from that platform. And there was a distance between Rameswaram and Dhanushkodi. The next station was Dhanushkodi. So these newspaper people used to throw bundles of these newspapers, and Samsuddin was cousin of Abdul Kalam, who was a newspaper distributor. So he had to go and he used to collect the bundles. Now when the bundles were thrown by the running train, they used to fall distances away. So Samsuddin needed a helper, and yes, Abdul Kalam was always there to offer himself. So Abdul Kalam started helping the cousin, and what he used to do, he used to go with Samsuddin and collect the newspapers which were thrown by the train here and there, and used to come, and then distribution was also done by both of them in the houses. So and distribution of newspapers was very important because people used to come to know about war, and one has to be updated about whatever is going on globally also. So he started, and the first time after doing this, distributing the newspapers, he got his first wages from Samsuddin, and Abdul Kalam was so very happy with the first wages. When he had sold that tamarind seeds, that was just once or twice he must have done. That was not particular wages. He remembers, he even after 50 years when he is writing his autobiography, he remembers the happiness that he had got when he had got those first wages, and he feels very happy even after 50 years. Even after, when his age was 50. So your book says half century, century is 100, so 50. And then he goes on to say that, the place where he used to stay, Rameswaram, was a place where everybody used to live socially together. Even though there was social ranking, because during that time, the Brahmins were regarded as the topmost, then the Vaishnavas, Brahmins were there, and then the Kshatriyas were there, then Vaishnavas were there, the artisans, Vaishyas were there, and then the Shudras or the minority class, and Muslims were less, so they were regarded as the minorities. So, social differences were there, but in this place, everybody used to live together. There was no inequality in any field. So, he remembers, when he was in 5th class, a new teacher came to their class, and every day, I did not tell you about his friends. So he had very interesting, Abdul Kalam had 3 best friends. So their names were, one was Ramanatha Sastri. Ramanatha Sastri was the son of Pakshi Lakshmana Shastri and Sastri, and this Pakshi Lakshmana Sastri was the head, the high priest, the head priest of the Rameswaram temple. And later, later on when he died, his son, that is Ramanatha Sastri, became the head priest. Then second friend was Aravindan. Aravindan was also these three friends they belonged to the Brahmin Orthodox family. And Aravindan grew up to be, he had a business of arranging transport for the pilgrims. So the pilgrims who used to go there to the Rameswaram temple also, and as I told you, they used to celebrate that Sita Rama Kalyanam festival, where the Ram Sita were married, their idols were married, they were taken to a pond, that was Rama Tirtha, and there they were married. So many pilgrims visit there. So his business was for arranging transport for these people, for the pilgrims. And third friend was Siva Prakasan, who later on had the business. When he grew up, he had the business of catering contractor of Southern Railways. Catering contractor is to provide food in the train. And we all know about Abdul Kalam, what he had become. So he had these 3 friends. So he remembers that once, a new teacher came, when he was in 5th class, a new teacher came to the class, and he saw that every day, what Abdul used to do, he used to sit with Ramanatha Sastri in the first row of the class. Every day he used to do that. So this new teacher did not know about this. When the new teacher entered the class, he saw that Ramanatha Sastri, a Hindu who was wearing that, religious thread, we call it Janeyu, he was wearing that and sitting at the first row, and just beside him he saw a Muslim boy, and Abdul used to wear those, the Muslim caps that they wear, the round ones. He was wearing that. So he was very angry, and he did not like that a person of high rank sitting with the minority class, and so he told him to get up and go and sit at the back, because the minority, he believed, this new teacher believed that everybody should be sitting with social ranking in the class. So Abdul Kalam was told to get up from there and sit at the last bench. Now Abdul felt very bad, because he had never faced such a thing in the class, and when he went and sat at the last bench and looked to his friend, he saw Ramanatha Sastri, who was so downcast and so upset about it. And years after, when he was writing this autobiography, he says that I still remember the tears that Abdul saw in Ramanatha Sastri's eyes. The friend felt so very bad for Abdul, and he cried, he wept in the class, and Abdul says, I can never forget. And in his autobiography he says. And then these children, when they went, 5th class children are very small. So when they went home and then everybody told to their parents, so this Pakshi Lakshmana Sastri, the head priest of the Rameswaram temple, was very angry, infuriated by this, behavior of the teacher, and he called the teacher and scolded him for teaching this, for, putting and inculcating this type of poison in the children. about the social discrimination, social inequality, and communal this discrimination, you know. So he was very, very angry with this. And he scolded the teacher, and he told the teacher to apologize, or he could leave Rameswaram and go, because they did not want any type of ill feelings of this type there, and nothing of this type, this sort of a thing about discrimination should be taught to the children who are the future generation. So this teacher came to know about this, and he felt very bad, and he apologized. Then he goes on to remember that there was his science teacher. Abdul Kalam's science teacher was Siva Subramaniam Iyer. So this took place when he was in 5th class, that is elementary school teacher. That was elementary school. Elementary school is still the primary school, that is still the 5th. And now then he goes on to tell about Siva Subramania Iyer, who was his science teacher. And this teacher, you know, when he used to teach in the class, he saw that there was Abdul, some intelligent children, the God-gifted children who are extraordinarily bright, can be noticed in one go by the teacher. And Siva Subramania saw Abdul Kalam, and he knew that this boy could do wonders. And so he used to tell that you have to be at par with other children who live in the city. So he called Abdul Kalam to his house for dinner. And he used to encourage Abdul a lot, because he believed that Abdul could do a lot. So he was called to his house. Now Abdul went. Now this Siva Subramania Iyer's wife was a conservative woman. She was shocked to see a Muslim enter her house, and she was not ready to serve food to a Muslim, and she felt that her pure and clean kitchen would be polluted if a Muslim came. So she refused. She said, I will not serve food to a Muslim. And she felt very bad that a Muslim had come to her kitchen. But Siva Subramania Iyer did not force her, and he himself served food to Abdul, and he also sat down, and both of them ate together. Now this wife was seeing, from inside. She peeped from the door, and she saw, and she felt so bad that she had not served food, and she observed Abdul also, and she observed her husband, and she saw that there was not at all a difference between the two. Both ate rice in the same manner, both ate everything in the same manner, and both, when they picked up their plates or whatever, that leaf and all that is provided for eating food, both of them cleaned their area in the same manner. So she felt so very bad for not serving food. A person who is a guest is similar to we Hindus. In fact, everybody. I have seen even the Muslims also, and even the Sikhs. Everyone, whoever is the guest is regarded as God, isn't it? And whoever comes to your house, you have to serve and feed him very, very nicely. You should make your guest feel welcome. So the wife of Siva Subramania Iyer felt very bad, and when he was leaving his science teacher's house, so the science teacher said, come next weekend also and we'll discuss things. So Abdul was a little hesitant, because he had seen that his science teacher's wife was a conservative woman, and maybe she would not like his visit again. But what the science teacher said was that if you have to bring about a change, if you want to bring about a change, you have to confront with these things. It's quite normal. And this was something very good that the teacher had told him and taught him. So, next time when he went there for dinner, Siva Subramania's wife herself came and served food very, very lovingly and kindly to Abdul, and because she had realized that it was her big mistake. And of course, in this way, so many people changed their attitude and behavior. Then what happened was war came to an end, and there was optimism, positivity in the whole country, and Gandhiji was, telling everyone and motivating everyone to build a new India. So everybody was talking about positivity, and everyone wanted to go ahead and do different types of things. So that it was at that time when Abdul also wanted to go and study in the district of Ramanathapura. And he went and told his father about it. And his father was very happy, and his father said, yes, you will leave my house and go, I will feel bad. But I know you are going for growth, for progress. So I will not stop you. And then he even takes and compares Abdul to a seagull. He says even the seagull, travels long distances and goes across the sun alone without a nest, to live alone, to live independently, to do something in life. And so he was very happy that Abdul wanted to go and do something and proceed further, achieve whatever he wanted to do and achieve his dreams. So his father allowed. Mother was a little, Ashyama, mother of Abdul Kalam, was a little hesitant because mothers love their children a lot and do not want to part with them. But the father explains to the mother and tells and quotes Khalil Gibran's lines, and you read those lines, they are there at the end of your chapter. Khalil Gibran is a very good poet and writer. So he says, I'm not quoting his words, you read it in your book, I'm saying in my own words. He says that, I know, he tells the mother that yes, you have given birth to your children. You can teach them various things, you can love them a lot, but you cannot share or control them with your own thoughts. They have their own ideas and thoughts, and they should be free to follow those thoughts and ideas and whatever they want to accomplish. They should be motivated to achieve their dreams, to soar high like the seagull. So he explains this to the mother, and yes, we have seen wonders done by Abdul Kalam. It was not just like that. He was named as the Missile Man of India. Do read about him in The Wings of Fire. Do read your excerpt. The things that, main points, I'll tell you what you have to remember. You should remember about Jainul-Abdin and Ashyama. Such a loving couple it was. Tall, handsome parents, and who did a lot for the society. And he also says that he remembers that there were many outsiders who used to come to their house, and the mother used to feed them very, very lovingly and warmly, and there were more people from outside than the family members who used to come and have food. He remembers that. Then he remembers his ancestral house. He remembers that his father was not a very rich or educated man, but he provided his family with all the necessities that were necessary, that is medicine, food, things of education and shelter, everything was provided. Then he talks about the Second World War, the demand for tamarind seeds, how he collected the tamarind seeds, and then he goes on to talk about his cousin, his brother-in-law Jalaluddin used to tell him about the Second World War, whatever was going on, the news and all he used to tell, and which further was read by Abdul Kalam in Dinamani. He also talks about Samsuddin, who was a newspaper distributor, and how Abdul Kalam had helped him in collecting newspapers and distributing and earned his first wages. This was when India had to join the allied forces of USA, UK and Russia, and then it was then that few changes come in the city, and the first casualty that came was that the train stopping at Rameswaram, which was a small station, and when it was moving towards Dhanushkodi, they used to drop the bundles of the newspaper which was collected by Samsudin and Abdul Kalam, and that was how he earned his first wages. He also tells about the qualities that he had inherited from the mother and father. He tells about his 3 friends and what all they became in future. Do learn that. Then he talks about the Sita Rama Kalyanam festival and how his Muslim father used to help the pilgrims he used to take them in his boat, and how he used to make a platform in his boat for the idols also, which were taken from the temple to the marriage site. Marriage site was known as Ramatirtha, which was on a pond in the middle of the pond. An island in the middle of the pond. And then he also goes on to remember about the elementary school teacher who made him sit at the back, and later on he was scolded by Ramananda Sastri's father, who was the head priest, Bakshi Lakshmana Sastri. And then he goes on to talk about Siva Subramanya Iyer, his science teacher, who always encouraged him, who also told him that if you have to bring about a change in the world, you will have to confront with opposition, and you have to do it in a strong way. And how he had fed him in the kitchen, and how they brought about a change in the conservative wife of this man. And then he goes on to tell how his father allowed him, after India got free, and after the Second World War, even India gained its freedom in 1947, and how there was positivity in the whole country, in the whole nation. Gandhiji was moving ahead with positivism and telling everybody that India would now build a new India. And that was when Abdul Kalam also wanted to move out of the house and study in the higher school, which was he had to leave Rameswaram and go to Ramanathapuram. And he takes permission from the father, which was granted because father wanted his son to proceed, and how his father quotes Khalil Gibran and makes understand the mother that the son has to go because he has to accomplish his dreams. Wonderful childhood. Do read your chapter. If you go through any problem, please put it in the comment section. And yes, if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe my channel, and also press the bell for the latest notifications. Do take good care of yourself. Bye-bye.